Robert Frost said he could sum up everything that he's learned in life in 3 words. And the 3 words are, it goes on. I was talking to my wife yesterday, and we were talking about the initial emotions that she went through when she found out about the diagnosis. And she had talked to the doctor, and he'd seemed kind of solemn when she stepped into his office, and she already had an inkling that he was going to tell her that I have cancer. So she just preemptively said, "It's cancer, right?" And the doctor said yes. And then she asked, is it stage 2, stage 3? And the doctor said stage 4. And then she said, how long does he have to live? And then the doctor said 6 to 12 months. And the anxiety and everything just kind of set in. And she has experience with, bad news. And she just asked for Xanax right away and, wanted to lie down for a bit. Called her sister to come pick her up because she didn't feel like she could walk. And that was how she coped or handled the emotional toll of finding out. And her family, when they found out, they were very depressed. Her aunt and her mom cried for a few days, and her sister and her dad was definitely very depressed at the same time. So I think for me personally, I definitely took a few days to cope, and thankfully I have learned some tools from therapy to help me pull myself out of it. So like CBT, being able to question it, and then just going with action, because being stuck in these situations isn't good for anybody, and having the tools to be able to pull yourself out of it, I think, is very important. And I would recommend therapy for anybody, or cognitive behavioral therapy specifically, to be able to understand your emotions and to be able to pull yourself out of these situations, because life does go on, and the better we are able to find joy and are able to cope with these situations, the better, because being stuck doesn't help with recovery or fighting the cancer, but taking action, finding joy, and moving on with life does. So, but yeah, I am still fighting hard every day and still looking for the joy in everything in life, like spending time with my son. And, the fight continues. Thank you very much for all your comments and words of encouragement. Talk to y'all later. Bye.